Good afternoon and welcome to this incredible Q&A that's going to be taking place. An amazing, fun documentary, behind the scenes documentary directed by, and I'm really glad to have the director, Steve Race, here, and one of my dear friends, Michelle Souza, who's going to be moderating this. Before we get started, though, I want to thank our presenting sponsors, AFME Foundation, Albuquerque Film Office, and Film Liaison Cindy McCrossin, Albuquerque the Magazine, Bernalillo County Commissioner Stephen Michael Quezada, Breza Terrena Olive Oil, Comcast NBC Universal, Real Solutions Airport Meet and Greet Service, Sunny 505, the Baker Law Group, University of New Mexico, Digital Arts and Film, Wells Fargo Advisors and Larry Schwartz, Yamaha Entertainment Group, and Jalsko Road Productions. Remember, for a complete lineup of films and events, you can visit our website at AFMXNM.com. Everything from beginning to the end of the festival will be available at any time through October 11th. So visit the website once again, AFMXNM.com. Let's get on to this. I'm really excited to listen to this conversation. I want to introduce Kira Seipler, our Director of Operations. This is the second to last film in the festival this week. We're on day 7, the closing day of the festival. Couldn't have had a better one towards the end, directed by Kira. Take it away.
Thank you, Ivan. I totally agree. I'm kind of sad that it's coming to an end. We were just chatting with Steve prior to this, and I'm really looking forward to this Q&A. A quick shout out to our technical director, Melody Carlisle, for keeping us on track and making us look and sound good. Thank you so much. We appreciate you deeply for all your work, Melody. A quick announcement to remind everybody that we have a live Facebook event tonight at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time for our award ceremony. I hope you can make it. Excuse me, where we will be announcing all of our award winners. We do have an Audience Choice Award that will be announced on October 12th. And the reason why is because all of our films are available online until October 11th to preview, and you can vote on your favorite. So I hope that you can take the time to watch some of these incredible films, vote for your favorite, and help us decide who our audience favorite is. Before I get going on to this Q&A, just want to remind everybody that you can enter your questions for the filmmaker in the chat box, and we will do our very best to get them answered. This conversation will be recorded and also available until October 11th, in case you missed any notes. Now, to introduce our moderator, Michelle Souza. She is a retired member of IATSE Locals 16 in San Francisco and 44 in LA. And she has over 25 years experience as a Propmaster on films as varied as Terminator 3, Pearl Harbor, Zodiac, etc. She has been in this industry for a long time. She is currently working on an independent film project, putting together a solo photography show in 2022, and she volunteers with Good Samaritan Society hospice. Thank you for that. Welcome, Michelle.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to Ivan. Thanks to Kira. Thanks to Steve for being here. It's a pleasure for me to moderate this fantastic documentary called Directed by Steve Race. Steve and I have had one conversation. We've sort of been on the same paths in the same place on different tracks kind of thing. And I'm really excited to talk to him about this. I had the privilege in 2009 to be working on a TV show that was nominated in set design for an Emmy Award. So I sat in an audience of a show similar to the Oscars and sort of wondered how everything came together during the time that I sat there. So Steve did a fantastic job of showing us what it was like to be behind the scenes at the 2000 Oscars. So let me introduce Steve Race. Thank you. Are you there, Steve?
I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Cool. So I think what we should do first is maybe just dive right in and talk about the history of where you came from, how you came to be on the staircase at the 2000 Oscars with some sort of small camera on your shoulder
Sure.
without any technology, watching Brad Pitt take green stuff out of his teeth. How did that happen?
Well, one of the cool things about getting to the 2000 Oscars was the fact that I actually was the director's assistant on the 1999 Oscars. So being a director's assistant on that show gave me the insights of how the show's produced, what happens, where all the excitement is. And I left that year going, what it would be cool to like do a documentary of the making the Oscars. It's never been done. Nobody's ever seen it. And I think that the people, they love the show so much, they'd love to see how it's actually produced and especially directed. So I went to the director that year because I spent the full year with him. We did the Emmys, we did the People's Choice, we did a whole bunch of shows together. So not only did I get to see the Oscars, but I got to see all these other shows that he was directing. And I pitched the show to him, and he said, "That sounds like a great idea. Let's do it." So I went to the Academy. I got a camera credential, and the rest is history. I just started shooting, and since I worked on the '99 show, I knew all the places that I needed to be, the interesting places, the press tents, the trophy tents at the end after they win the Oscars, the truck. When you go live on the Oscars with the director, and it's the AD counts down from 30 seconds, you down to 10, and 5 seconds we're going all over the entire world. It's like an adrenaline rush, and it's just so exciting to actually see the guy that's actually snapping his fingers and changing the camera angles, and people sitting at home, they're just watching these visual imagery, these pictures changing on their television so fast and subliminal. They don't even know that it's changing that fast. But there's a guy actually snapping his fingers and a technical director hitting that camera and putting that up. And it's insane. And there's so much work that goes into it. And, at the end of the day, it's like this big ballet of people backstage and camera operators and stage managers and talent, and everybody's in the right place at the right time to make this perfect show. And I wanted to kind of show all that on what it goes into to give you that perfect show. It's like de-glamorizing this big glamorous show. And it's exciting to have done it and to shot it and to put it out to the world.
Yeah, I think that a lot of times we look at when we're watching something like that, you think you're watching a film, meaning, they've spent days working on one scene or one
Sure.
particular shot of Brad Pitt coming up the stairs to one particular shot. And really talking about a theatrical experience, one performance only.
Yep.
With a director who's like a Broadway director who's in charge of everything, including those like 22 monitors in your truck or whatever. It was truly watching like the Puppet Master, the Wizard of Oz, somebody that was just almost before you could see his brain working, that before he even pointed to or yelled camera 12, he was already on camera 12, and you could already see he had to be back at camera 4 or whatever. So it was truly wonderful to see, and I really showed the audience what it's like. It was amazing.
And one of the pure concepts is I wanted the audience that's watching this documentary to feel like they're actually working for him. And I've gotten that from people that have seen the movie, that like when at the end when he wins the Emmy for directing the show, they feel like that, like when he's thanking everybody who worked on the show, they feel like they're being thanked because they've gone on this ride with him. When you see him crying and you see him arguing, you see him fighting for his vision as hard as he does to make the show that he knows is the best show that he's making. At the end, you're left with like, I just felt like I worked on this show. Like I was able to go backstage and meet Antonio Banderas, and I got to talk to Spielberg, and I got to, it's just that the audience feels like and I never wanted to become part of the movie. That's why I didn't do sit down interviews. It's like the show is Lou and him directing and him being our narrator. The second level is the celebrities and all of them working. And then the third is me just being able to navigate through the landscape to give you that behind the scenes all access credential that, only maybe 2,000 people on the planet get to be backstage.
Right. So technically, What did you use at that time? Because I think this was before cell phones and
was-
smartphones and,
So
you know.
yeah, so back then
technical-
that was Canon came out with the first camera. I wish I would have known this question came up, because I have the not the actual camera, but a similar one. So Canon developed a mini prosumer digital camera called the GL1. It's literally this big, and it shoots on mini DV tapes, and it was the first of its kind, because up to that point everything was shoulder mounted cameras. So it gave me the access to be able to just maneuver and navigate. And it did auto lighting, it did auto focus, it did, auto sound. So I basically shot the documentary without a lighting team. I shot it without a tripod. I shot it without anything. It was just literally me and a camera and my other assistant at the time, Micah Quamina, who also was Louis J. Horvitz's assistant, the two of us. So like when I couldn't be somewhere and I had to actually be an assistant and do my job, I'd hand the camera off to him and he would run in and shoot like Whitney Houston and then come back and give me the camera. But it's the first Canon GL1 that came out, and it was standard def 4:3, and it just shot this beautiful little timed capsule where it looks like it's from 2000. When you look at the image,
Right.
if you watch a Western from like 1930, it looks like 1930. If you watch a documentary from 2021, everybody's shooting on red and it's beautiful and it's an ARRI, it's high def and colorful and beautiful. 2000, you had Betacam or you had mini DV, and it looks both of them look very, very similar. So
So you said Michael was your
he was the second assistant. It was me and then Micah Quamina, and the two of
Right.
us were Lou's assistants.
Were you both though? Would you like have the camera shooting, Brad Pitt going up and down the stairs, and Michael could be somewhere else and go, oh, wait a
No.
second, Steve, you got to come here because
No.
they're doing that.
No, we
You
had one camera, and
Okay.
we kind of we basically I kind of because I had the rundowns. I knew what rehearsals were
Right.
being done. I knew
Right. Okay.
what was being done where and what time. So that's like when we went and did the red carpet, we went out together and did the red carpet stuff together.
So you really had a shot list based on every day. You knew every day what was
Yeah.
going to happen. So literally you had that in your head.
Yeah, it was like, okay,
Oh.
we're doing, because leading up to the Oscars, you do full rehearsals of the show. When they start a rehearsal, it's not like, oh, we're gonna do the opening. It's like, no, we go live, and it's literally 3 hours. It's a 3-hour rehearsal straight through for timing. They don't stop. They keep going just to get the pace and to get everything going. So they understand timing. And so like when Billy's on stage doing rehearsals, it's like, we got to go get Billy doing. It's Billy Crystal, the best host ever. We got to go get Billy. And then Robin Williams. It's like Robin Williams is doing rehearsing Blame Canada. We got to get in there and get some Robin Williams. And then of course when Whitney showed up, it was Whitney Houston is here. We got to get Whitney. And then everything fell apart at that point.
Right. Oh, I just had a question and I just forgot it. Well, there you go. So I can't think. I'm having a brain fart. Sorry, Steve.
That's okay.
So keep on. Oh, well, here's my question. What about the fact that you had a press pass and you had Lou's blessing? Now, nowadays actors sign, confidentiality agreements. You can't take photographs of them. You can't do anything without, you can't never show Brad Pitt getting the green between his teeth because everything's publicity. You don't really ever see people really the way they are. So was there any blowback during this shooting time? You had your press pass on. Did somebody say, what the hell are you doing here?
No. So back then is a different time. If you watch the documentary, you don't see a single cell phone. You see Spielberg shooting on a little film camera. I don't even think it's not even digital. It's an Insta camera. So, there was no phones. And it's like, once you're inside that bubble of the Oscars, it's people let their guard down. If you're backstage at the Oscars, that you deserve to be backstage at the Oscars. So nobody really has their guard up because we're not press, we're not paparazzi. And, so there really isn't any of that. And as far as, the access, it's just, once you get inside the Shrine Auditorium, it's like, it's everybody's happy. It's the Oscars. The celebrities are just happy to be there. It's like, they're starstruck because, you walk from, back by the trucks to the stage, you might pass Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty, the amount of celebrities just mulling around. It's like, it blows your mind. Russell Crowe's out back there smoking a cigarette. It's incredible. And that's the thing, backstage, everybody's just, it's fun to be there. And, and I remember I'm shooting with this little camera. When I go to shoot Angelina Jolie winning her first Oscar in the press tent, there's no video cameras in those press tents, only still photographers. So my video camera is the only video camera in those, like those moments don't exist anywhere in the world other than on my camera, because the Oscars, that's the video cameras are on the streets, red carpet, and that's it. Once you're in, you're in. There's no more, like these days the person wins the Oscar and goes and is like doing a press conference with 100 video cameras. But back then it just wasn't, they didn't care. It was just like, let's get some still photography for press. And then that's it.
Wow. We have a question here from the audience for you, which says, were there any happy accidents during the process?
Happy, the whole thing's a happy accident. It's, we're going into this not knowing what we're getting. We're just shooting as it comes. It's not like, we planned, okay, well at 10 o'clock, we're going to do an interview with so-and-so, or, my favorite happy accident is when I'm standing there with Antonio Banderas and Penelope Cruz, and I'm having this like intimate conversation with them where we're just hanging out backstage at the Oscars, having a conversation. So, that was not planned. That just, I'm walking through and they're standing there hanging out. Right.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
Oh, and the second. So Hilary Swank, I had a feeling she was going to win the Oscar. So one of my things I said, I have to, if I'm shooting this, the audience is watching the show, and my documentary is not the show. I gotta break the wall. I've got to get in the house, and I got to shoot something inside the house to kind of like tie it all together. And Hilary Swank's right there, and the winner is Hilary. And boom, she wins right in my frame. So you're literally in the audience, that feeling, because from the show, you're so far away from everything. It's all, you're hundreds of miles away watching from television, where I'm actually 12 feet from where she is winning the Oscar, and I'm shooting, I'm rolling on her. And then it was cool to actually go backstage with her and follow her through the process of you just won an Oscar.
Well, I also think in that particular case, it was really nice to see Chad Lowe, her husband's reaction at the time.
Absolutely.
You got to see Chad, which made it more intimate and more human, the emotion of winning, like what it's like. So
and hearing from him, not just watching him like on television. You see him walk up and clapping, and like, you don't get to hear from him. And then we're backstage talking to him and hearing from his perspective of what it feels like. Your wife just won an Academy Award.
Yeah.
In the moment.
Exactly. Well, you were like the forerunner of what we see now when we see the Oscars. So why did it take from 2000, when you shot it, to 2021 to get it in front of AFMX? What was the journey with getting that made?
Well, so what happened was, so in actual 2001-ish, I actually approached the Academy Awards to let them know what I had, because, the where I got the press credentials and shooting of it, the higher ups didn't really, they were disconnected from actually me making it. So I met with them, and I met with their lawyers, and their lawyers at the time said, your footage, you shot it, you had access, you have every right to put this documentary out, but we're going to recommend that you don't, because it was too close to it was just 1 year old. I just shot it. So they recommended that I don't put the movie out at the time. So I said, okay. And I just put it on the shelf, and I was going to make it at some point, and I never got around to it. It was never like my passion or motivation to actually make it. And then when the pandemic hit, as filmmakers, we couldn't shoot anything. We couldn't shoot with live people. And I didn't want to do a Zoom movie of like doing actors on Zoom. And like all filmmakers, we looked at our shelves, we looked at our hard drives, we looked at what projects do we have, you know, that we have that are half written, that are half produced, that are half made. And this thing was sitting on the shelf, you know, 17 hours of behind the scenes making of the Academy Awards. And it was just sitting there waiting to be cut. So I approached my brother, who's my producing partner, and my editor, and Micah Cormina, who helped me shoot it. And I asked the three of them, I said, guys, I said, we've waited 20 years for this. I said, I'm only going to do this if I get your blessing and you guys actually want to make it. And they all were like, let's do it. So we just jumped into editing bay. My editor conceptually didn't understand. It was like, I don't understand what this is. And someone put out a NASA documentary about the landing on the moon from footage from, you know, how many years ago, 50 years ago. And he watched that and he says, now I get it. And that structurally, that's when we came in and started to cut it.
How long did it take to cut and edit 17 hours down into 93 minutes?
Do you know what?
It's hard to pick
what
you want, you know? No, for you?
No, because we had, there's 3 tiers. Everything with Lou stays, everything with the celebrity stay, and then some of the stuff with me stays. And then structurally, we had our film at that point. And, you know, we had, it was over, first cut was over 2 hours, and it took literally a couple of weeks to cut. And then, you know, we went in and we looked at it. We have, like, for instance, there's a really wonderful rehearsal of Mark Shaman doing the Blame Canada, where he's actually the star playing the Robin Williams part. And it's fascinating to see Mark Shaman running around the stage performing Blame Canada in the rehearsals with all, like, the backup people. And it was like, at the end of the day, we're like, all right, well, you know, people don't want to see Mark Shaman, they want to see Robin Williams. So it's like, okay, that can go. So once we started to cut down, you know, that's when we ended up with what we have. And, you know, it's a very simple concept of it's called directed by, and it's not me, I'm not the directed by. Louis J. Horvitz is the directed by. So it is literally a documentary of making of the Academy Awards seen through the eyes of the director. Very simple.
Yeah.
Very simple concept.
It was great. Here's another question. Would you do another Oscars documentary today with the way the Oscars are done if you could get the same kind of press access?
To be honest with you, I don't think that they would ever allow it again. I don't think they would ever want to do something like this, because that's not what they do. That's not what they are. You know, they're in the business of making a beautiful, big, grand award show, and, you know, not really showing the behind the scenes of how it's made. But if I had the access and they said, we want you to do it, it's a no-brainer. I would say absolutely. I know where to go. I know what to do. I know all the little nooks and crannies to be. So I would say absolutely, I would do something again like that.
That would be pretty exciting. So what are you doing now?
Right now, I'm,
what else, you know, what are you doing with yourself right now? What else, what other kind of projects do you do? I've only seen this.
Yeah.
We've only had one conversation, so I don't really know you. So, you know, tell us what else.
My main passion is storytelling. It's making films, it's making projects, it's shooting camera, telling stories. And I have a couple projects I'm out there. One is a NFL football film called All In. It's about a undrafted free agent that gets invited to the New York Giants training camp and ends up making the team, and then ends up having an up and down career, and ends up making a huge interception in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl versus Tom Brady, and the Giants end up winning the game. I have another project called The Story of My Family that I wrote that I'd love to direct. It's about a 15-year-old girl, and takes place the week of her quinceañera. And it's just a beautiful story about a Latino family living in the Valley in Los Angeles, and just, you know, everything about what it is to be a 15-year-old girl living in modern times.
Mm-hmm. And what is Mr. Horowitz doing with himself since he's now 9 years older? He looks like he's probably has, you know, all the energy of, like, you know, an eagle.
He's still the biggest live TV director on the planet, directing all the big shows like the Grammys and the Emmys and things like that. So he's still out there doing his thing.
Wow.
That I to be honest with you, I feel like he's the best there ever was when it comes to live TV. He's won multiple Emmys, multiple DGA awards for live TV.
Yeah.
And he's the best there ever was at live television directing.
Yeah, I mean, just to watch that one, just that 1 minute or 2 minutes of you shooting him, giving the cues, cueing the different cameras.
Sure.
His brain, he was before his brain. I mean, it was like, you know, a lag time, but a lag time in the before a lag time, whatever I mean, you know, it's just, it was like watching truly a ballet, like you said, or a really amazing ice hockey game or something, just like total beauty.
God-given
And
talent.
yeah, God-given talent. So, wow. Well, let's see. I don't know what else to ask, Steve. I know we riffed
Yeah.
about things. What else could we
Yeah.
talk about, you and me?
No,
Because, you know, I think you've
no,
answered everything, you know,
as a
the audience.
filmmaker, you know, as a filmmaker, you know, it's just like, what I'd like to tell filmmakers, whether you watch this movie or not, just go out and tell beautiful stories and entertain people, inspire people, and just make great projects, because that's what we need. We don't need sequels. We don't need crappy TV shows that you know are depict people and show violence. We need more enlightening, inspiring stories out there.
Yes, we do. Well, I have to admire you because you were proactive. You saw you saw a story in your head. You wanted to show that story to the world. You made it happen. You got, you know, you made it happen, and it turned out beautifully.
Awesome.
We have one last real quick question just came up. What have you learned from Louis Horowitz, Mr. Horowitz? What did you learn from him?
I'll tell you what I learned. I learned what it's like to command a set. I learned what it's like to work hard. I learned what it's like to show up on time. You know, all the great attributes of a great director are things that when I'm doing something, I always reflect back to how he did it or what he did or
Right.
you know, and in directing my first movie, you know, I'm on a first feature film with you know 150 crew members. You know, how you know, how do I talk to people? How do I inspire people? How do I, you know, take somebody who did something wrong and instead of, you know, beat them down, build them up, you know,
Right,
things
right,
like that.
right.
And just, you know, the work ethic of just
Right.
being passionate about your vision and fighting as hard as you can for your vision. Because as a director, everyone has their own, you know, everybody sees the things like, for instance, when you're directing, I don't care if it's a movie, wardrobe's the most important part. The writing, the most important part. The director of photography, the photography is the most important part. As a director, the movie or the project is the most important part. So you have to have an understanding that everybody's coming at you with their own motivations on their decisions and things they want you to do to kind of for their department. So it's just about staying true to the vision.
Staying true to the vision, being the leader of the team, but not being afraid to hear somebody because they might have the best idea going. And that could be the craft service person that says to you, hey, you should try this. And you go, oh my gosh, that's the best idea, you know?
I'm going to tell you the quick thing. So when I got hired to direct my first movie, my mentor of the past, I'd say 10 years, is Henry Winkler, the Fonz from Happy Days.
Oh, sure.
He's been my mentor. He's the most beautiful person on the planet. And when I told him I was directing my first feature, his advice to me is, he goes, I know you don't even want to hear my advice, but I'm going to tell you, always keep an open ear. He said, because you don't know where the brilliance is going to come from. And I'll never forget that.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Steve. They're giving me the time to wrap it up. Let's hope that we meet sometime in LA or somewhere else. And good luck to you.
Thank you so much for everybody for watching the movie.
All right, Kira. Take it away.
Thank you, Michelle and Steve. Really, I suggest all filmmakers to watch this documentary. This is a really passionate film about the behind the scenes. And if you're like me, a geek about how you make things, this is the film for you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, Steve. I really appreciate that, filmmaker to filmmaker. Stay tuned for our next Center Stage conversation at 2:30 Mountain Daylight Time with our conversation with Buffy St. Marie. Can't miss this one. And remember, we also have our award ceremony tonight at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. on Facebook Live. And if you need something else to do between all of that, we still have another documentary at 3 o'clock, Fanning, The Right to Rock. And we also have a music showcase of popular New Mexican musicians. I hope you can join us. If you need more information, go to our website at afmxnm.com. Until then, have a good day. Bye-bye.